Today, we're taking a look at the Monarch Jelly Bean from 11SIX24. What's up, guys? This is my first review for 11SIX24, and I really like what they're doing right now. They've done a lot of R&D, and they're making exceptional paddles at a really great price point. But before we get into it, if you guys would please like this video and subscribe to the channel, it really does help a small channel like mine a ton. Alright, so quick look at the specs and kind of what makes this paddle unique. Alright, so the Monarch name is 11SIX24's wide body shape, and it comes in at 15.8 inches long by 8.1 inches wide. It's got a really nice 5.75 inch long handle, and it uses what 11SIX24 calls their CFC face material, which is a 3-layer layup of carbon fiber, fiberglass, and another layer of carbon fiber. The Jelly Bean line uses a Gen 1.5 construction, which means that this paddle is not thermoformed, but does have the perimeter edge foam. It comes in an average weight of 8 ounces, an average swing weight of 110, and an average twist weight of 7.2. And of course, one of the biggest standout features of 11SIX24's paddles is the price point. This comes at a retail price of $99, but if you use discount code SCOOTER, that'll take $10 off, bringing it down to $89. With one minor exception, which is the colorways. I have the Royal Burst color here, which is $109 instead of $99. Personally, I think it's worth the extra $10 because this is probably the best looking colorway in pickleball, in my opinion. But whether or not other colors are worth it is completely up to you. Alright, so it looks great and it's priced great, but how does it play? So I mentioned the CFC face material, and I've been using a lot of paddles lately with a fiberglass layer. And that's something that I think is going to be a really big trend moving forward into the next year. And the reason why is because it's really good. So fiberglass by itself can definitely be a bit harsh, but when used in combination with carbon fiber, it's really great. And 11SIX24's CFC layup is one of the best examples of that. And then pair that CFC layup with a Gen 1.5 construction, and I think you have a really special combination. The ball feels really great off the face of this paddle, and it's one of the easiest paddles to control that I've ever tested. I feel like drops and resets have never been easier than with this paddle, and all control shots just feel effortless. But the fiberglass in that CFC layup gives it a nice bit of pop and power as well. Now that's definitely not to say that this is a power paddle, because it's definitely not. But it has enough put away power and pop for most occasions for most players. And I never really felt like the power levels with this paddle were a disadvantage for me. I also personally really like the softer feel from Gen 1.5 paddles, and I also think that that's going to be a big trend going forward into 2025. And I think that that offers a great alternative to the Gen 2 thermoformed paddles if you don't like that stiffer feel. I think 11SIX24 has made a really great paddle here that is one of those paddles that you can really recommend to pretty much anyone. The wide body shape means that it has a really big and forgiving sweet spot. The long handle is a great option for people who have a two-handed backhand. Plus that easy control with decent pop and power make this a really well-rounded paddle. So how does it compare to other similar paddles? I think one of the most similar paddles that I've tested recently is the Neonic Flare. They have very similar playing characteristics. They're both really great control paddles that when swung through, have a good amount of power from the baseline and good enough pop at the kitchen to be effective. With the primary differences of the Jelly Bean being a little bit wider shape and a little bit softer feel, whereas the Flare is thermoformed and has a little bit of extra power. Not to be confused with the new Flare Prime X, which is a totally different paddle. I think another obvious comparison for this paddle is the Vatic Prism Flash. With the Vatic Prism Flash being the paddle that made Gen 1.5 so popular. They have a very similar feel and they're both excellent control paddles, but the CFC layup on the Monarch Jelly Bean does give it a bit more pop and power than the Vatic Prism Flash. And the last comparison is the Bread and Butter Fat Boy. These paddles are very similar shapes, with the Monarch just having a slightly longer handle. They're both good control paddles, but the Bread and Butter Fat Boy is significantly stiffer and a lot poppier than the Monarch Jelly Bean, making the Monarch Jelly Bean definitely a bit easier to control, while giving the Bread and Butter a little bit more of an offensive weapon. Overall, the Monarch Jelly Bean is a great paddle at a really great price. It's a good paddle for all skill level players, but I think it's especially great for newer players who are starting to develop a more serious game. It's a very controllable paddle, but with enough power and pop when you need it. I think 11SIX24 is doing a really great job with R&D and building out a nice, complete, well-rounded paddle lineup. And they now have a Jelly Bean in the Hirachi X elongated shape as well. So if you like the sound of the Monarch Jelly Bean, but prefer elongated shaped paddles, that might be a great option for you. And I'm super excited to see what they come out with next. As always, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Stay tuned, I have more reviews coming soon.